Hi, everyone. This is Beverly here with a large area imaging collection story and hopefully some advice for those of you out there who are responsible for training and mentoring new divers. Particularly if you are working with mentoring a new diver, you want to be trained in all aspects of the image collection process from plot setup to taking the imagery. Flexibility is important as you will need to take into account the diver's rate of air consumption. If this is a limiting factor and you have the luxury of extra time and dives, you could consider splitting an LAI dive into two parts, with one dive dedicated to setting up the plot or finding the plot if you are resurveying a site, and one dive for the image collection process itself. This technique and this flexibility is also really useful if you are working at deeper sites or if you're working at a site with strong current. Like Anela will discuss in her story on dealing with current safely, there are also things that you can do pre-dive to make things easier for you before you even begin the dive and to make the process more efficient once you descend. If you are working at a resurvey site and you have created a map of the area, which we always recommend, you can sometimes spot key features such as unique corals or even a sand channel from snorkeling on the surface. Depending on the visibility, if you have permanent markers at the site, you may even be able to spot these markers from the surface. If you are a free diver or have a free diver on your team, you can send this person to mark these points with floats, which will allow the person doing the imaging with the camera to get started much more quickly upon descending. One thing that you should always check before descending is that the camera, or cameras if you're using multiple, aren't leaking. We recommend having someone hand the diver the cameras from the surface or a boat, and then having this diver check for bubbles and evidence of leaks in the housing before descending. If there are bubbles, don't panic, it's still going to be okay. Particularly if you're working with dome ports, these will give you an extra couple of seconds to get the cameras safely out of the water. This is another point where it is really useful to have a two-camera system, as a leak might only affect one of those two cameras. If you have surface support, and this is the only opportunity to collect imagery from a particular site, which is often the case, you can have the surface support remove the batteries from the camera with the leak, and the divers continue the survey with a leak-free camera. Before continuing, however, with the one camera system, it's really important to think about the settings of the camera that you will have to continue to take the survey with. Will the settings of this camera still allow you to address the questions that you set out to answer with the survey? If so, even if the image collection is not as optimal as you had hoped, you can still collect what you need to answer your questions. Working in the field, things don't always go according to plan. So my advice to you is to recognize that flexibility is always important. And even if something breaks or leaks or otherwise goes awry, there may still be ways to accomplish the job. Think creatively and flexibly, but also logically and safely. And good luck to all of you with your large area imaging project.